Hey everybody, it's Ziz here, and today we're doing something a little bit different. Normally I do PvP videos or commentary or something like that, but today we're doing a product review, 4 product reviews actually, because we're talking about keyboards. Now, the first thing I want to say is I am not sponsored by any of these companies. I did not get a free keyboard, I'm not getting any kickbacks, I have had zero communication with any of them. I'm just a normal person just like you. I bought them in the store or online on Amazon, I spent my money, and so I want to give you my impressions, my thoughts and feedback on each of these keyboards. So if you're looking for a keyboard, maybe you want to switch to a mechanical keyboard, hopefully some of this information will help you out. Now I'll have a link to each of the keyboards, but let me show you which ones we're working with here. Sorry, you're gonna get a little bit motion sickness. Boom, so there we are. All 4 keyboards. We're working with an older Logitech G15. This is the Myonix Zibal 60. This here is the Rocket MK Pro, and lastly this is the Funk KB460. And I'm going to go over each one of them, tell you what I like, what I didn't like, and why I stopped using it and why I moved on. Now, going in chronological order, the first keyboard that I got of these 4 was this one here. This is the G15, a Logitech G15 keyboard. Now, this is an older keyboard. They don't even make this model anymore, but they have some other ones out that are pretty much just like it. And I came from an older, like the old Dell keyboards, right? The one you get with your computer. And so I saw this one, I was like, hey, this has got some cool stuff. Now, these keyboards, it has a screen on here that will show you like your stats, things like that in game. It's got these macro keys over here so you can set a macro. It's got multimedia keys, got mute and volume, things like that. Also, it's backlit, it's orange, and it's not a bad keyboard. A lot of people use these kind of keyboards, Logitech keyboards, and it's certainly not a bad keyboard. Now, the difference between this keyboard and all the other ones, this is a traditional rubber domed keyboard. So what that means is there's a panel under here that's got sensors on it for each key, and then over top of that is a rubber like mat with little domes on it. And when you push a key down, it pops that dome down, hits the button, and releases it. Now, this is normal keyboard, and most people don't even notice when you're using this kind of keyboard. But in general, it's a little spongy, not as responsive. The keys can wear out over time, and so I like this keyboard. I was using it, but there was a couple of problems with it. First, the keyboard, the wrist rest broke off. It just, the little clips, that broke off. And I like using a wrist rest because I'm used to it. So that broke off. And then the feet on the back of the keyboard, the feet broke off. So I had the problem there. And then I realized I never used this thing at all ever. In fact, it was kind of a pain in the butt because I was always like messing with it, trying to get the right thing, and then I just never used it. And also I realized I never used macro keys on my keyboard at all. I just never did it. So I use this keyboard. It still works. Every key works on it perfectly fine. I should probably sell it or something. But I decided I wanted something else. So I started researching on the internet, and I found out about mechanical key switches. Now, I'm not going to go into a whole bunch of detail. If you want to know the difference, there's a lot of videos out there. But in general, a mechanical key switch is very linear. Up and down, it doesn't have this little bubble or anything like that. It's a mechanical switch, and so it feels a lot better. The next 3 keyboards are all mechanical keyboards. And once you start using mechanical keyboard, really, you can't go back because it feels nicer, it feels smoother, more responsive, it's sturdier, stronger. Mechanical key switches, these cherry switches, last like 50 million clicks, so they should last pretty much your whole life. And there's really nice. Now there's different kind of key switches, and I'll talk about each one because I have different switches. But I went from the Logitech G15 here over to this bad boy here, and this just broke off as per usual. So this is the next one I got. Now this is the Myonix Zibal 60. Now the reason I went with this is because I wanted one with a wrist rest. The wrist rest is over here. Also broken off. See that? You can see that's broken. It still kind of works. It just doesn't click in. Anyway, I wanted a wrist rest. I also wanted backlighting because, let's be honest, sometimes at night I need to look at my keys, all right? Sue me, I'm a noob, all right? I need to look at my keys. So I wanted a backlit keyboard, and I also wanted one with a wrist rest. Now, I got this years and years ago, and there wasn't a lot of options. I got this bad boy. Now, a couple of things about this keyboard that I really, really like. One, it's a mechanical keyboard. Like I said, it's really nice. Once you get used to typing on mechanical keyboard, you don't want to go back to a dome keyboard. It's super nice. It's like a Lexus, right? You don't want to go from a Lexus back down to, you know, something else. I won't say because people get mad. To Ford or something. You want to use this nice mechanical key switch. Now these ones are black switches. There's different options. For cherry, there's black, there's a blue, there's brown, there's red. These black switches are pretty stiff, so you got to give it a good, you know, push down pretty hard, but it's nice because you don't accidentally hit any other keys. A lighter key like a red switch, you could accidentally hit other buttons and it activates really easy. This one, really strong, really, you know, sturdy, firm key. It's a green backlit. Now, I don't know if you can tell. You see here, that is turned on full brightness. Now, the other one was orange and it was a lot brighter. That's one thing that isn't very good with this keyboard, unfortunately. The backlighting is not very strong. This is on all the way. Also, the keys, the font themselves, the font is really kind of thin, so it's kind of hard to see, which if you have a backlit keyboard, you want to be able to see the backlighting, right? This one, it works, but it's not very good. Another problem I had with this keyboard is the fact that it slid around all the time. Like, it has rubber feet, but it would just slide all over my desk, like constantly. Every few minutes, I'm like moving the keyboard back. Drove me nuts. Like I said, I broke the wrist rest, just a regular plastic little thing. Broke the wrist rest. That didn't work very well. Another thing that was annoying is by default, the backlighting is off. So that means every single time you turn your computer on, you'd have to push the buttons and push the buttons. Now, it only takes like a second. You get used to it, but that's really annoying. I don't know why, but that was pretty lame as well. Also, there's no other options on this. There's no macro buttons. There's no other special buttons at all. There are the function buttons up here. So if you hold down like the function button and then press one of these, you can do pause and play and mute and that sort of stuff. But really a very, very basic keyboard. It's got a nice thick braided cable. I like braided cables because they don't get caught on stuff. They're a lot stronger. They slide around on your desk easier. They're smoother. They don't get tangled. Rubber cables like this headset cable, I hate this cable, for my headset because it's rubber and it gets caught on everything. So braided cable's nice, but look how big this thing is. This thing is ginormous. It's so big, it's unwieldy on your desk. So this is not a bad keyboard. It still works. Every key works perfectly fine. You could probably kill some zombies with it if you had to. But after a while, I kind of got tired of all the shortcomings with this keyboard. Also, the mouse I was using with it, which was a Myonix mouse, I had some problems with it. So I decided to look for something else. Now, at this point, I had already spent a good bit on keyboards. The G15, I don't remember, was probably like 90 bucks or something for the G15. The mechanical keyboard was like $130. So a lot in keyboards, right? And so by this time, I'm not happy with either of my keyboards. And I want one that works, darn it. I want one that works. So I do my research and I decide if I'm going to get another keyboard, I want one that lasts forever. Because like I said, mechanical key switches, like 50 million clicks, so they should last like almost your whole life, right? So I do my research. I'm looking at Razer, I'm looking at all these different companies out there, and again, the same things I wanted. I want one with a wrist rest because I'm used to wrist rest, and I want one with backlighting. Now I know you can buy just a separate wrist rest. You can buy like a rubber wrist rest that's detachable and then you just like set it next to the keyboard, but I don't like that because they become separated. So I wanted one that was attached. And that is when I found Rocket. Now, Rocket, it's from Germany, and it's beastly. And I say beastly because look how big this freaking keyboard is. Ginormous. It's so big, I can't even fit in it. Alright, now, a couple things about this keyboard that I really, really like, and why I bought this keyboard. One, is the wrist rest. If you like a wrist rest, this is awesome. It's huge, plenty of room for your hand. It's attached to the keyboard. You never have to worry about it breaking off or getting lost or flimsy. It's solid. Now it's just plain plastic, but it's solid. It's on there, right? Also the keys. See those keys? See how bright they are? Compared to the other keyboard we were just looking. I gotta go like this, so the keyboard, so big. Very bright. So compared to the one we were just looking at, the green one, the Zibal, this one, very bright backlit keys. Now there's obviously different levels, right? This is on the highest level you can get. But if you look, it's kind of hard to see what each key is. Like you can kind of make it out, but it's kind of almost like a blob, right? It's like a blob of color, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment, but just remember that. Now again, like I said, you can turn the color down a little bit so it's not as bright, but it's nice. It's blue. It's got all these macro keys over here if you want them. It's even got thumb keys right here, which you can macro in game to use for your thumb. It's again got all the macro keys up top here for play, pause, all this sort of stuff. In addition, there is software that comes with it that does a ton of stuff. Tons of stuff. You can individually choose which key you want to be backlit. You only want WASD to be backlit, you can do that on this. You want 1 through 5 and WASD, and you want P and O and enter. You can pick any key you want individually. You can even pick it so it has like different effects. Maybe like the keys randomly light up, or maybe they only light up when you touch them. I didn't use any of that junk. One thing I did like was when you turn the volume up or down on your computer, the light would go up or down here. So it started at 1, you know, at 10%, 20%, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, all the way up and then all the way down, which is just a nice little indication on the keyboard. I'll just show you there. One other thing I like is the braided keyboard here, but see, the cable's not as big. It's not as thick. You can actually move it around on your desk. Also, it's longer. So this is really nice. It's got built-in USB ports and headphone ports, which the other two keyboards have as well, USB and headphone. The difference is with this one, it has a separate plug-in that you plug into the back of your computer, USB, which makes this a pass-through. Now the difference between pass-through and other options, for example, the Logitech keyboard I showed you first has a USB port you can plug into, but it's just a USB hub. So that means, let's say you want to look at some files on a USB drive, you can do that, but it doesn't charge anything. You plug your phone into it, it's not going to charge it. This one is just like plugging in your computer. You plug something in here, and it's going to charge your phone, it's going to charge stuff. So that's pretty nice, but you do have another, a thicker cable and something else to plug in. So it's, a trade-off. Also, you got your headphone jack, so you can plug your headphones into, which I never do because I don't want crap on my desk. But in general, pretty nice. One other thing about this keyboard that I really, really, really like is the feet. Look at the feet here. Feet here, all the way around here, foot here, and big ones back here. Now, why is that important? I absolutely hate it. Hate it when my keyboard moves around on my desk. Horrible, 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 horrible. The Logitech G15 did a little bit. The Bionic Zibal did it a ton. Like every few seconds, you have to move your keyboard back. This thing, literally for months, never have to move it. Ever. Never, 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 ever. I never remember having to move this keyboard. I'm not kidding. It is the most sticky keyboard. It's amazing. I'm not kidding. It is absolutely amazing. Thumbs up. Bravo. Now, the reason I'm not using this keyboard anymore, even though it has a lot of amazing features and costs me a lot, like $150 for this freaking thing, is because these awesome keys stopped working. In games, I would find when I was running to the side, let's say I was using the D key, you hold D down and your guy is supposed to run across the screen. Well, he would be going and then he would stop. And he would stop like that. And it wouldn't happen all the time, but every once in a while I'd be like, what is going on here? This is really weird. So I messed with it a little, and then the other one happened. So it was A and the D. So either which way. Super annoying. I'm still trying to get in contact with Rawcat to get it fixed. Absolutely shouldn't happen on a $150 keyboard. Super, super annoying. On top of that, I also had a problem with something else, their mouse. So I decided, you know what, I'm having problems with the keyboard. That's absolutely unacceptable, the A and the D key. I don't use like all these macro buttons still. I didn't learn my lesson from the first keyboard, but I still don't use these macro buttons. I don't use these thumbster buttons. the keyboard is just ginormous. So there's a bunch of little things that kind of all went together. And if it wasn't for the fact that the A and D key stopped working, I might still be using that keyboard. But that stopped working, and I was kind of fed up with it. And so I said, you know what? I need to get a keyboard that works. And I don't need any of the junk. I don't need macro key. I just want a keyboard that works. Now, one other quick thing is on that Rocket keyboard, I got cherry red switches, which earlier I talked about how they're really easy, but they're super light, which means you barely tap it and it's going to register the key, which is really good if you're really accurate, really good. I got fat fingers though. That means I'm always barely touching other keys sometimes, which means I'm misclicking, which is super annoying. So the black switches I had on the Zibal was really nice for that. The red switches, not very good for me. So on the newest keyboard I got blue switches. Now the difference is red and black switches are totally linear. So what that means is the key just goes up and down, right? A blue switch, it goes down, but then it kind of clicks before it finishes. So it clicks right when the key actually activates. So that means they're a little bit harder to press down. There's an actual click when it registers, and the blue switches, there's an audible click as well. For the brown switches, it has the physical click, but no audible click. And so I got this keyboard here. This is the one I'm using now. I've had it about 2 weeks, and I like it a lot. This is the Funk KB460. Now, first thing here, I don't know if you can tell, but the red keys are just as bright as the blue ones. But in my opinion, they're a little bit easier to see. Now, why is that? Let me just say, I used to work at a shipyard a long time ago, and ships, Navy ships, they have lights on the inside, they have red lights, because red light doesn't travel as far as other colors of light, like white or something like that. So when they're out on the water, if someone opens a door, the red light won't be seen as far as away. It's very true. So this red light here, even though it's very bright at night, is easier to see. It's more detailed, more crisp. The font is easier to read, in my opinion, compared to the blue or the other colors. So I really like the red. Now, if you don't like the color red, I understand. You may not like this keyboard, but technically, red is a really, really good color to use for backlighting. Another thing that's really cool is if you notice here, see these key switches here? It has the 5 and then the symbol next to it. Well, it's right next to each other. This seems like a little detail, but most key switches that are backlit has the 5 above and then the percentage, the symbol below it. And the reason that's a problem is because in the key, the LED light is at the top. So that means the top part of the key is lit up really well, and then the bottom part is kind of faded and doesn't look as good. Well, on these switches, because both of the symbol and the number are at the top, you can see both of them just as easily. It's very uniform and looks really good. So the font and the key layout is really cool. Another thing that is really awesome in my opinion, down here, the control, the Windows, and the Alt key are actually different sizes than a normal key switch. Let me grab one here just to show you so you don't think I'm going crazy. This, I think, is a really cool feature. This is the size of a normal Alt key, and I'll put it next to that one. You see that right there? It's actually, the regular Alt key is smaller. And so this is good and bad. Why is it bad? Well, because if you want to get replacement key switches for this keyboard, these are not standard sizes for these right here, which is kind of bad. But hopefully you're never going to have to replace the key switches. If you did, you should be able to just get new ones from the company. So really the negative, I don't see it as a negative. The positive, and the reason I really like it, is because when I'm playing, a lot of times I'll hold Alt down and then press buttons, or hold Control down, something like that. The bigger key makes it a lot easier to press those buttons, and I noticed it right away. It's a lot easier to push the button down. So that sort of thing, this little details with having both of the symbols at the top, the bigger key down here with the Alt and the Control, and the smaller Windows key because you never use that. those are some details about this keyboard that I really like. Also, it has a rubberized finish. Obviously you can't see it in the screen, but you see how it's not shiny? It's a rubberized, it's a matte and it's a rubbery, just like your mouse would be. If you have a mouse that has a rubbery finish, it's just like that. So it's really nice and it feels really good. Another thing that I like is this. Now you might be wondering, what is this little thing dangling off? This is the clip for the keyboard, and let me show you. It clips into the bottom of the key just like that. Now, why would you want this extra little piece of plastic that seems like kind of a nuisance? Well, remember the first two keyboards I talked about? Both of those wrist rests broke off, and it probably would have broke off the third keyboard, except it was like melded into it, right? It's all in piece. And so this keyboard, if something happens, if, I don't know, you get mad and you slam it, and it breaks, it's a lot easier for you to just call the company up and say, hey, I need a new little piece like this, and they will give you a new one. No charge, no questions. They'll just send you this little piece. You just pop it in there, boom, and you're done. You don't need a whole new wrist rest. It doesn't ruin your wrist rest. Really simple, really easy. Now this is the wrist rest. Why do I talk about this? It's just a little piece of plastic, right? Nothing fancy. They could have spent more money on it. It's kind of flimsy, but it also has that nice soft rubbery coating, which I love. It's not just like this one here where it's hard and plastic and smooth, and yeah, I mean, this, it's just a piece of plastic, but it's nice, it's smooth, it feels good while you're using it. And again, I like using a wrist rest. If you don't use one, you probably don't care, but I do really like this one. And it clicks on to the edge of the keyboard. Those clips that I showed you, boom, it just clicks right on like that. Boom, and there you are. Now, another thing I really like about this keyboard is the cable. It's a braided cable again, but it's small, it's not as thick, it's easier to move around your key, your desktop and stuff like that. This keyboard has two USB ports in the back. This is a hub though. Remember earlier how I talked about some of them are a pass-through where you could charge your phone and stuff? This is not like that. This, you're just going to plug it in and like access your files or something, but you're not going to charge your phone, which is kind of a negative, but the reason I like it is because it gives you this really thin cable. You don't have an extra thing to plug into the back of your keyboard, your computer, which is nice. So this overall, I really like this keyboard. I like how the red backlit colors work. I really like how it has this nice rubbery texture to it, and the keys feel really nice. It's really easy to see. It's got the bigger keys, a lot of attention to detail, things like that. It also has a really nice software. The Funk keyboard, this is a macro keyboard. Now, normally with the other ones, it had a whole row of keys over here. This one doesn't have that, which I like because they don't get in the way and it saves room on your desktop. But if you wanted to use macros, you can set that up in the software to be any key. Maybe I want this key here, not backspace, but maybe this one here. Maybe whenever I press that, it spams my guild recruitment invite. You can set that up in the software. Super, super easy. And this has the most simple software, but in my opinion, the best. The Rocket keyboard has some really extensive software. The other one showed you how many times you press the key, and it has like voices that tell you stuff. Your DPI is blah blah blah. Like that other. This one doesn't have any of that. This is simple, just works. It gives you the options. You click on it, and it does it, and you're done. So this works really well. This keyboard I got, I think normally it's like $130. I got it on sale on Newegg for 80 bucks. So you compare this keyboard on sale for 80 bucks to the other one that was 150 and the keys stopped working. I'm really excited about this keyboard. I love it a lot. I like the red switches. It's a lot nicer at night. I love the rubberized texture. I love the red backlighting. I love the attention to detail and the wrist rest. So all these things together, I really, really, really like this keyboard. And I do like the blue switches. If you listen here, hear that clicky sound? That's the blue switches that I'm using. So I really actually like them. Now, if you needed like a quiet room where no one could hear you, then blue switches aren't, but it works really nice for me. I like the tactile response back to me, feedback, and also the audio where you can hear it. That works really, really well for me. And so all comes down to it, this keyboard here has everything I'm looking for. It's got great backlighting. It's got great features. It feels great. The texture's nice. The cable is great. It doesn't move around on me at all. It hasn't moved at all. It's really sturdy on my desk. It has all the macro buttons and all the features if I want them, but they're not on the keyboard, so it saves space. It's got a nice wrist rest that's got a lot of just smart features to it. Am I trying to get you to buy this keyboard? No. Again, I don't make any money off of it. It doesn't matter to me which keyboard you use. I just wanted to share my experiences, what I'm using, why I'm using it, why I like using it, and hopefully this gives you some ideas. Maybe you want to use the Rocket because you like the blue colors and you like all the options. Maybe you really like green, so you want to use the Zibal. Maybe you don't want a mechanical keyboard and you want to spend less, and you can use the Logitech or something like that with a domed keyboard. Tons of options out there for you. I wanted to share my experience. If you have any questions about keyboards or about one of them I showed here, please put it in the comments, send me a message. That's why I'm putting this video out, just to share my experiences. And I'm really excited because after 4 keyboards, I think I finally found one that I really like. And if I have any problems with the keyboard, little story I'd like to share to close out the video. I bought the keyboard, the mouse, and the mouse mat, and I'm going to do a review on mice because I have 4 different mice and mouse mats. But I bought all this stuff, but I didn't buy their headset because I already have these Astro headphones, which are expensive and they're really nice. But the thing is, I hate the cable for this because it's rubbery, got stuck on stuff. Why am I talking about a headphone and a cable? Well, because I contacted Funk, the company who makes this. And just by the way, if you're wondering who Funk is, you never heard of them, they've been around for like 20 years. They made, they started with mouse mats, and now they have mice, and they have headphones, and this is their first keyboard. But I contacted Funk, and I said, hey, listen up. How can I get a replacement cable for your headphones, because it's a nice braided cable and it would match my other cables? And they said, well, hey, just let us know what your serial number is on your headphone, we'll send you out one. That was the email. That was it. I put an email on their website. They got back to me the very next day, no questions asked. What's your serial number? What? So I sent a message back, said, hey, I don't have the headphones, I have your mouse, your keyboard, your mouse mat, but I just wanted the cable to match my stuff. Where can I buy it? Like an hour later, message back, what's your name and your address? We'll send you one. That was it. That was it. They didn't ask for the serial number for the other stuff to prove that I was a Funk customer. They didn't ask for me to pay for it. They didn't even ask for postage. They shipped it to me for free, the cable for their headset, and I don't even own their headset. So I think the company is great. Other companies are good too. I know for a fact, dealing with Funk, they are an amazing company. So if I ever have a problem with any of their stuff, hopefully I get the same great service. Unfortunately, the headphone didn't work with these. The cable didn't work with this headset, so I just have an extra cable. If the Funk people ever see this, thank you. You're amazing. Again, I'll do a review on the mouse. I got this mouse right here, and 4 other mice I have. I'm doing a mouse mat and everything. But again, I hope this was helpful to you. Keyboards, tell me what you think. What are you using? What do you like? If you have any questions, let me know. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, or follow on my Twitter or live stream. I'll see you out there.